Hello, everyone, and welcome back to the Old Golden Chat, back for episode 19 of our podcast. We're glad to have you all back. It's a shame that, again, we're starting a podcast without 3 points on the board, but let's see if we can do it against the league leaders in Arsenal, a team that we've never won against in probably my life's history, I think. Liam, thank you again for coming on. How are you,
Yeah,
mate?
I'm okay. Thanks, mate. Ready to talk about the mighty Wolves again?
It's glorious, isn't it, coming on? We love coming on, the fact that we're on 2 points and we don't even look like winning. But I'm glad to have you back, mate. We've got, ironically, we've got a podcast full of some news when we thought that this probably was going to be the most dull podcast that we could have put out this week. We will start at the very beginning. Obviously, we had a game on Monday night versus Manchester United. The final score was 4-1, which we'll digress and we will go over very shortly. But prior to the game and during the first 15 minutes of the game, of course, there was a protest set up by the Old Gold Pack, which we both attended. It was very well received, I think, by fans, especially in such a short time that it was planned. I think it was probably planned and prepped on maybe the Friday, which is remarkable, actually, to see the amount of fans that were outside, and especially as well outside of the Billy Wright stand and making a lot of noise. Did you feel the protest went, Liam?
It was the beginning, weren't it? So I think it's one of them where, let's face it, when we go to the Wolves, not one of us want to be doing it. We want to be in the game, going right behind the team. But it was just something needed to be done to just make the owners realise that what they're doing at the moment just is not okay. I'm glad it was peaceful, and I think that the turnout for the first attempt was quite good, to be honest. What about you?
I think it was good. After looking and going back and seeing how many fans were probably still in the stadium during the first 15 minutes, it kind of put a dampen on our mood whilst we was there because we thought the ground looked quite full. But obviously there is pictures that have come out afterwards. I think the one thing that I've taken away from it was potentially the South Bank was a little bit disappointing. And look, people can criticise all they want. Me and you both sit in the South Bank. I'm not afraid to call out people as and when is needed, to be honest. And I completely cannot go against anyone who didn't want to go to the protest who physically can't. Some people aren't physically able to. Some people have children and wouldn't want to go in the hustle and bustle. I could completely understand that. And for anyone who watches the podcasts, who feels like, that they couldn't go to the podcast for those particular reasons and they would have wanted to, then fair play. And I think that there's other ways that maybe protests can happen in the future that maybe they could get involved in. What I can't understand is, and it's one of my biggest bugbears, there's a lot of people who I've seen online, and it was surprisingly a younger core of the generation of Wolves fans were saying that what's the point in doing it because it's not going to make a difference. It will. That was just the very first one. That was the very first one. If people think that this is going to be the end of it, they've got a long look at themselves, because this isn't going to be the end of it at all. I don't think. I think if anything, it'll grow and grow until we get what we want as fans, which I think some fans have misinterpreted as folks have got to sell the club. It's mainly about communication. Protests are peaceful because we want the best for the club, and it's not being spoiled petulant brats. Wanting to know the direction of the club, wanting to know the future of the club. Everybody can see that we're probably 99.999% down this season already. We want to know what the future holds for the club. If Fosun don't care about the club, if Fosun don't want to invest in the club, then go. But if there is a plan, and if there is this big reset going to be taking place within the club, then we want some formal dialogue about it, and we want to know where we stand as fans. Because as me and you were both rightly talking about, you before we came on we're paying over £800 for a season ticket. I want to use your expression, Liam, if I can. If you paid £800 for a piece of work on your house, if you paid £800 for an electrician he leaves and you can't turn the light on. You want to bring him back and get him to fix it and sort it out. And that is exactly what Wolves fans are doing. And so I think it's kind of like a message for me. Like, I implore anyone who thinks that we're only doing a protest because we want frozen out, or that they don't want to join in because it won't work, they won't listen. This is only the start. Go on, Liam.
Yeah, I was just saying, like, everything you said is just absolutely right, isn't it? And there's going to be two sets of fans. That's what about football's about. Everyone's going to have different opinions. And if you mentioned about people that couldn't protest, which is absolutely fair enough. The ones that could protest and want you to go into the ground, if you're okay with that, then that's your decision. But I think it's important that both sides need to realise that both sides aren't right in a certain way, are they? And if we were protesting, we didn't go in the ground, and when I went in the ground, I did have comments from someone sat behind me about, "Oh, just F off back out the ground," and I'm like, if you're happy to sit there and watch those players not jumping threaders, not tackle, jogging back on their first goal, that for me is part of the problem, because the players again away with things that you just don't want to see. I don't care if we lose 3 or 4-0, but if the players are battling and trying and getting stuck in and getting into the faces, and they look absolutely like disappointed and hurt at the end rather than just laughing with the other players, absolutely fair enough. But at the moment, I don't see that from the players. Like you said, there's no direction with the owners. And I think that since the protest, there's been little positive signs coming from that protest, and it's only a good thing, isn't it? Because we need a bit more positivity in the club.
Yeah, I think you've hit the nail on the head. We're not asking for a lot. People think that, from outside of the club, think that we're whinging because we want to see signings being made in January and this, that, the other. It's more because of the slow decline and the absolute negligence of the club is the reason for the protests.
And the excuse of, these fans at a protest and won't be there when we get relegated. Mate, if we was in the National League, I'd still be buying a season ticket. If we only had 10 players on the pitch every week, I'd still be bloody there. So that excuse of, the fickle, it's absolute bullshit. We just want what's best for the club.
Yeah, I think we'll quickly talk about people in the ground, and it's not only just going to be people who've had a go with us. It's going to be other people in the ground as well. I think you're absolutely right in saying that everybody has an opinion. What we say maybe isn't right to some people, what some people say to us, and we would love to get everybody's feedback as well. If you are a person who doesn't want to protest, feel free to get your opinions in and engage in discussion with not just us, but with other people in the comments as well, because we want to have this conversation and see what fans like certain elements of the club, and then every conversation is a positive one at the end of the day. And it's one of those, isn't it? Like we go back to the fans who were behind us. We were taking part in, we wasn't the only ones. And fair enough, it was people around us who started the chant after the first goal, singing "You're not fit to wear the shirt" and what the effing was that. Which I do not give a monkeys if someone has a go at me. I really do not. I can take it. I'm a big boy. I'm entitled to my own opinion, the same as everybody else. Same as Julian, same as Aaron with us, Charlie, everyone. That first goal was a shambles. And it wasn't the actual goal itself. It's everything in and around that goal. And I'm hoping the people who did have a go with us, and probably people in other stands as well, who were, not happy with fans coming in after 15 minutes and then the whole negativity starts. If you look at that first goal, firstly, you have to dissect that Andre has to do a lot better. And he had an absolute stinker of a game. He's one of our best players. Yeah. He's one of our best players, and it's just because we've got such a high level of expectation for Andre. You don't expect him to be holding the ball up for 5 or 6 seconds. Just get rid of that ball, and he's done it a couple of times this season now. But what was inexcusable and what caused the chance of what the hell was that? And you're not fit to wear the shirt. And Krejci gets a very, very minuscule allowance because of the fact that he's just come back from injury, and it may have even been a little bit too early. But with injuries and suspensions, couldn't be out. He needed to play. Andre lost that ball, and your two central midfielders were walking, not even jogging back, were walking back.
And your captain.
And your captain was walking back. Your other centre-back was nowhere to be seen. Your wing-backs, fair enough, granted that tactically they were probably told you needed to be so high up the pitch. But I didn't see them busting a gut to get back. There was one man and a keeper at the back trying to defend two players. Manchester United didn't even do anything
They even
good
sticked over
with
the
that
ball,
goal.
and they still had other options. We still can get back in even close. You watch Tatu Gomez getting back, and he's running as if he's ran a marathon. And I can't, that's just, there's no excuse. That just ain't good enough for Wolves, regardless of what division we're in. Just ain't good enough, simple as. If that was your Sunday League team or your five-a-side team, you'd be so pissed off if you was playing in that team, wouldn't you, what then?
Yeah. And that is the thing. The reason why those chants were made was because it was so inexcusable for players to be walking. It's the first 20 minutes of the game. These are professionally played football players. And the one thing that Rob Edwards has reiterated from day dot, from his first interview at the club to every single interview ever since he's come, is the non-negotiable is putting the work in, tracking runs and working harder than the other team. Now, if you're 20 to 25 minutes into a game and you cannot be asked to run back after your teammate has lost the ball, then you have failed in what your manager has sought out from the very minute that he walked into the club. And like I say, Cressy gets a very, very minuscule allowance because he's probably not even fit enough to play.
The scary thing is, Andre has about five seconds, maybe longer, on the ball where you'd know he's in no man's land. How haven't they thought, like, crap, let's get back in? How is that even possible? The professional footballers haven't thought that. And when he plays that ball back, surely you'd be busting a gut to get back in there. And they deserve that chance because everyone was so pissed off already. You want to see your players fighting in. I walk into my seat and Arias jumps up for a ball and dive and put his head in the way. And then the next time the ball goes to him, he gets smashed into a tackle because he's waiting for the ball to come. Like, it's just not good enough. Simple as.
It's non-negotiables. It's non-negotiables, which Rob Edwards has put into place from the minute that he walked through those doors at Compton. Granted, like we said, every fan absolutely deserves an opinion. And whether you think we're wrong, I don't mind. I can take being wrong. I like to engage with fans. So drop your comments in the comment section down below. Even if you agree with us, let us know and tell us what you think about the situation, because there is obviously going to be negativity within the stadium. We're rock bottom with 2 points. There's no betting odds on Bet365 for us to beat the Derby's record. This is a sorry time for the club, and fans are going to turn not just on the players, on the boards, on the managers. They're going to turn on each other, and these things are going to happen. But everybody has to respect everyone's opinions, and we have to get that so clear. Everybody has a right to an opinion. You're not always going to be right. Should we move on to the positive of the game?
Let's try.
Finally scored a goal since the Chelsea game in the Cup, which feels like a long distant memory now. And it was a good goal,
Yeah,
wasn't
it was a very good goal, yeah. And something where our wing backs that we've talked about so much was heavily involved in, and they weren't just stuck on the byline, they were on the touchline, they were in and around the area, inside the box, and it was a very good goal, weren't it? And Bellegarde, I think he deserved his goal, and I know I've talked about him saying he's not good enough and this, that and the other. And regardless of whether I think he's good enough or not, against Man United, he actually showed up for a fight. He deserved his goal, so absolute fair play to him, because he was probably the only one that was looking like he supported the club at the moment, and you've got to give him full credit for that, and fair play for turning up, because it was an hard, first half to turn up when we went down. But yeah, it was a great goal. Was it Hoover's first little pass into Wolf, and he just knocked it down to Bellegarde, and weren't an easy finish, Harvey. Kind of like slid at the same time, didn't he? And it was a great finish, to be fair.
Yeah, he was kind of, I mean, first of all, really good ball by Molineux Wolf. I think credit has to go to him because he had an absolute shambles of a defensive display. But the ball in itself was superb. And Bellegarde, yeah, like you say, he was slipping as he shot that ball, and it's so hard to not ping those into Rose. He's done so well to keep the ball down, and especially, leaning backwards as he's going for it. And such a tidy finish. And do you know what? For a player who's very much like Kwang, like a confidence player, that can only have done him the world of good, because he looked electric in that first. Like I said, apart from the first goal, he kind of at least made up for his errors with that goal, because he did everything in the build-up, even prior to that and after that, right up until his injury. I think he was pretty much all over the pitch in that first half by the first goal. But yeah, fantastic by Jean-Marie Bellegarde, and
It's weird
for
to
what it's
celebrate.
worth, I hope he's. It felt so weird. Now, like I said, for what it's worth, I hope we haven't got too long to see him back in a Wolves shirt, because I think there's games like this weekend where we could really do with someone like Rui Bellegarde to drive us through the middle of Arsenal, and it's going to be a hard game regardless. So, yeah, all the best to Jean-Marie Bellegarde and his recovery. And then after half time, mate,
I feel like the
we
half time
kept it
came at the
alive.
wrong time, didn't it? Because I feel like we was kind of on top a little bit. The crowd was starting to find the positive voice, and the players had that extra 5 yard in them, didn't they? And I think Man United, you could possibly say there was a little bit on the ropes. I think the half time came at the wrong time, but then the second half happened.
Yeah, we'll very quickly go into it, because I'm sure everybody watched the game and as disappointed as well we was. And to be honest, it was the same killer ball,
Every time.
and I screamed it to you during the game. It was the same killer ball that come from either side, but predominantly from the left. The ball was being zipped straight through the middle of our defence and our midfield. One pass, and it happened 6 times, I counted, within the space of 20 minutes. And Brian Mbeumo has been known to cause us damage for how many years now when he was at Brentford. And even worse, that he had Amad Diallo, who's just as fast on his right-hand side next to him. Those balls were just being zipped through the middle, as clean as a whistle, taking out 2 midfielders and a defender as they're going along. He was coming straight over, and Totti Gomez had absolutely no clue where Brian Mbeumo was. Wolf was standing in no man's land. He was kind of half in between Mbeumo and half in between Ahmad, and he didn't even know which one to run to, which is, again, a fault for your captain, who should be telling you, oh, we've got Mbeumo, get over, we'll defend him man to man. But no, of course, the ball just falls straight to Mbeumo. Probably 6 out of 6 occasions in 20 minutes, and Manchester United go and wreck us. Let's be perfectly honest about the situation.
The Mason Mount guard annoyed me, because our 3 centre-halves just seemed to look at him finish and be like, on earth was he there? Who is actually knowing where he is to pick him up? Mason Mount, even a number 9, and he looked like he was Alan Shearer in the day with that little finish there. And that was Mason Mount. How scary is that when we've got Arsenal coming up?
They've got players to absolutely tear through us. It could be a flaming basketball score come Saturday. And I feel so hard to say. I really don't want to say it. I want to come on the podcast and be positive and happy. We try our hardest to keep it as happy as what we can do, to be fair. But look, it happens. It's one of them. Let's move on from the game, I think, Liam. Because, Man United 4-1 is something that's happened. It's been, it's gone. Hopefully we can try and cause some damage at Old Trafford and get some revenge. I highly doubt it, but let's see what we can do. Let's move on from another negative to another positive, I think. Wolves this week have announced that we have a new assistant head coach back in the building. Return of the Mac, return of the Rui Pedro Silva.
Wow.
Get in. Yes, I'm so happy. If anyone isn't aware of Rui Pedro Silva, he was Nuno Espirito Santo. Do you remember him? He was Nuno's number 2, and did an absolutely fantastic job when he was at Wolves, Rui Pedro Silva. He's had a bit of a different career since he left the Molineux. He went on to manage Famalicão and finished 8th in the Portuguese Premier League in his first season. They were absolutely flying under him and played some really, really nice football. Don't think it worked out second season. I think they lost quite a few of their bit like Wolves, lost quite a few of their integral players, and slowly started to see a bit of a decline, and he was moved on, and then went back to the Premier League with Nottingham Forest under Nuno, who subsequently in his first season back with Nuno managed to get European football. So not the worst CV for Rui Pedro Silva, is it really, over the last 5 or 6 years? Well, 7 or 8 years really of his football career. What do you make of bringing in Bottle?
I was definitely shocked when I heard it. I was like, no way. I was like, what am I reading here? So I was very happy. We needed some positivity, even if it was just a glimmer. Surprising move, because we all look like we're doing to get in, so surely he knows what he's coming into. The only thing, the big positive for me is he knows playing wing-back systems under Nuno, so hopefully he can give Rob Edwards some tips on what's needed in there. He's quite, apparently I've read that he's quite good with speaking to South American players, so that's also important as well. With all the nationalities that we have, it'll be a good mix for them. So hopefully we can see it. Maybe as well, he's going to be one of them that brings a bit of authority in there, rather than someone who could be a pushover. Do you know what I'm saying? So yeah, we'll wait and see what impact he can have. There's so many assistant managers out there that are like the brains behind the operation, aren't they? You look at Phelan when he was with Alex Ferguson, and they always seem to have that one man that they trust. So hopefully he was the brains behind Nuno Santo's unbelievable years as manager.
Yeah, Rui Pedro Silva's back in the building. I think it was worth noting, like what you've just said, really. Rob Edwards been looking for to get a new coach in on Wolves. He was desperate to get someone who wasn't of the same sort of
Pedigree.
Less of pedigree. He was looking to get someone in who was fluent in different languages, to be able to communicate better and get his ideas through towards the players who were South American and Portuguese. I'm in the same boat as you. I'm hoping he's going to bring in a bit of pedigree and a bit of discipline, and try and get these players to work for each other again, because that's the main thing. We have to be working in situations like these as a cohesive unit. And if we've got someone of the same caliber of Rui Pedro Silva, I'm all here for it. It has to be said as well that when Rob was the under-23s manager, they had a very close working relationship, as Rui Pedro Silva would often go to the under-23 games to get some of the younger talent within the squad to see if they can make the step up. And it said that they were really close, and they actually spoke quite frequently with both parties actually left Wolves as well. So that's always good to hear, that it's always been an ongoing dialogue, and they've kept in touch. And I think it's kind of like the perfect fit for the perfect club for Rui Pedro Silva. And I'm really, really happy to get him back. Really happy. It's one very, very small puzzle in the Fosun puzzle to sort out. And if they want to be able to get if they're not looking to sell and they want to get any empathy off this fan base, or try and get any connection back towards the club, it's a very small piece in the jigsaw puzzle. So yeah, we've had some more news today as well, haven't we, Liam? Do you want to go ahead with that one?
Yeah, the news that we saw coming out today about the retirement of our goalkeeper, Rui Patrício. Those goalkeeper tops that he wore, oh my gosh, how beautiful were those tops. Every top, the arm one, the away one, third kits, goalkeepers, everyone, you could have just bought them all, couldn't you?
Yeah, that was beautiful. Beautiful for a beautiful man. It's almost like he's sitting across from me on the camera. Our very own Rui Patrício on the other end of the camera.
He was such a good shot stopper, weren't he? Some of the saves that I watched back the video I was saying, you just see some of the saves and you're like, wow, hopefully we understood and realised what an absolute unbelievable keeper we had in our journey in the Premier League, because he was unbelievable. And I know his kicking and distribution was questioned at time, but as a shot stopper, wow, he was just... Some of the saves he made, I think it was one against Man City where it was just underneath the crossbar and he just powers it away. He was just a top keeper. I think, I'd ask him to come back out of retirement and carry on till the end of the season, to be honest with you, because I think he could do better than what we've got.
I wouldn't even disagree at all in the slightest right now. Yeah, a very happy retirement to Rui Patrício. If you want to come back as a goalkeeper coach, mate, come on. No, I loved Rui Patrício when he was in goal for us. I think it was his near post that he scared me so often in a Wolves shirt, but you know what? He was such a joy. And to have that elite pedigree, we had Portugal's probably one of their best number one keepers playing for Wolves, playing in Europe with Wolverhampton. This is the type of player that Fosun had us believing that we were such a good club. We were so on the up. It was beautiful when we had players of your ilks of Patricios, your Neves, your Martinez. The list can go absolutely on forever. But yeah, we have to obviously thank Rui Patrício for his time in the Wolves shirt, because what a spectacle keeper he
Gave
was.
us some great memories, didn't he?
Yeah, for memories. Always welcome Rui Patrício back down the Wolves. Even if he was just coming as a fan, I would love to see.
In the South Bank.
Oh, get him in. Can't understand it. I think his English was so poor whilst he was here anyway, but you know what? Just get him in. Get him in the South Bank. Yeah, we will we'll move on to another piece of news that's come out today. It's all breaking today, isn't it, Christ? They must have knew that we was coming in for a podcast session. Wolves are no longer in the future looking towards using Jorge Mendes' clients, especially in the near future. I think that there's been a growing concern, and rightly so, but with the fans expressing their displeasure of the transfers this summer. Awful recruitment this summer. Like I say, Fer Lopez, who's been arguably one of our better signings, is potentially going out on loan in January. And so it looks like Fosun are kind of stepping away from the Guest District model, heading more towards using their own recruitment, which I think it's going to have a few mixed opinions, and isn't it, Liam?
Yeah, it's just scary who that is. Yeah.
Yeah, it is scary. It is scary. I think for me personally, I'm obviously into the world of Football Manager, and I know who our scouts are. I'm pretty sure I saw in Talking Wolves saying the other day that Ben Wrigglesworth, who is our chief scout, is apparently on the move to Leicester in a technical director's role. So if that's going to happen, then Wolves need to kind of up the ante of their recruitment team, and that's something that I could absolutely get behind. If we are going to be losing members of staff like Ben Wrigglesworth at the club for donkey's years, then we need to be bringing in good scouts, good caliber of scouts. They need to be realistic and they have to be opportunistic as well, because if we are going to go down this model of using our own internal resources at the club, they need to heavily invest in, like we've said before, the youth and the scouting department, because the scouting department, we don't know. We've been kind of spoon-fed information over the years. Matt Hobbs has recruited this player, or Tetty's recruited this player, or this is a Jorge Mendes client. We haven't used our scouting department as of yet, which is something that every other Premier League club uses. Everybody utilises the resources at their disposal. We haven't. So I'm open to the idea of it, as long as A, it's good enough, and B, we're going to recruit.
And if we haven't used them, I feel they've got thousands of players waiting to try and attract and sign if we haven't been using them. But yeah, I totally agree with what you're saying. I've read somewhere that maybe Rob Edwards knows a few of these recruitment people that are in the background of the recruitment, and he's worked alongside them before. So that's only positive if they know what type of player you could be looking for. What would you be doing, Dan? Would you be looking at, if you were Rob Edwards right now, they're on about looking at where they're going to go with recruitment, would you be looking at trying to stay up, or are you focused on the Championship?
It's such a hard fine line. And I was speaking to my mate before we came on air about this, actually, and I think my perfect transfer window, if I'm being brutally honest, I think we're going to do another piece. I think we're going to do a whole separate video. You, Nats, maybe Moores comes on. I'd like to do a whole transfer piece within the next couple of weeks, going up to January. But my ideal strategy would be, and a lot of people would probably disagree, I think we've gone I can't see a way for us coming back for us to come back now. I would sell your likes of your Strand Larsens, your Andres. Pains me, Joao Gomez, your Totties, because he's not very good. If you can get any money for him, your Agbadoos. Players who don't want to be here. Your Jose Sars, even as well, to be included in that. I'll get rid of the players who I don't want to be here or B who aren't good enough. Your Hwangs as well, in that, your Ariases, obviously. There is endless amounts of players that I'll just say, right, go and find your clubs now. You don't want to be here. It's quite blatantly obvious to see. I'll take Joe Gomez ever so slightly at that because I think he does care. I just think he needs to move on for the good of his career. I think Andre and Strand Larsen are good enough as well to have good Premier League careers, obviously. You can already see, especially with the way that Strand Larsen was treated as well, that they'd need to go. I would from then go and recruit players from the Championship. So you've got Championship experience, but I think you have to be realistic in the signings that you can make. Again, we'll go over it in a full video, so I'm not going to go over loads of players that I would sign, but some of the players that I would like us to go and sign would be someone like Chak Vidazzi at Watford. I would target these clubs who are probably a little bit they're in and around the playoff spots. But let's be honest, Watford probably won't come up, and I think their players probably know that as well. I would gun for players who've got Championship experience from when we do go down to give us the best possibility of being able to fight to come back up. But someone who would be grateful of the experience for the last 6 months of the Premier League that we've got for this season. I think our fans wouldn't turn on the players who we brought in because it's not their fault. The same way as we haven't turned on Rob Edwards. We've only turned on people who don't care. And that's the main thing for me. So people like Chak Vidazzi, you've got bags and bags of quality, who I think fits the system like a glove. He would be grateful for the Premier League experience. The fans wouldn't get on his back. He would then have so much ammunition and so much ambition to get back to the Premier League next year. And it's those fighting characters, those nitty-gritty characters that I really like. And that would be my way of going about it. Well, what would you do then?
Sorry, that's fine. That is a great assessment. Yeah, I think you've hit the nail on the head. I'm a bit lost. I wouldn't really know which way to go. I don't know if I'd go for players who I'm looking at. Is there a glimmer of us staying up and we could hit 5 games on the bench? I just can't see the squad being good enough to do that. So I don't know if I'd waste my time getting a few loan players in who could be pushing for the World Cup. So I think if you was to agree with your side of it, of going for Championship players, it would make sense because surely they know that we're going down. Surely they know they're coming up to half a season, getting ready for the Championship. So you're not signing players where they think, oh, we could potentially play Premier League football again next year and stay up. And if we get down there, like, fall out with the club and try and push for a move, surely the players coming in will be knowing what they're doing. Maybe you can target some captains, like I spoke to you before about Japhet Tanganga for Sheffield United. Those experienced players that are captain and leaders of the group in the Championship and know that league, have a bit of Premier League experience. And I think you would be right in there. I think we just need a few older heads just to help out those younger ones. And that could be for any ability just to help calm the nerves. And if we do go a goal down, just to be like, come on, you got to keep going. Yeah, the fans would back you to keep going. But we know they do down tools and there's no argument with that because we go a goal down. And, regardless if the fans there singing or not, the heads just drop. So I think January is important. I think you've got to be careful if you do sell all your players, because then you've got to be like, if Rob Edwards is the man to go down with, you need to make sure he's got a squad where he knows already to work with to try and win a few games. I don't think he ain't going to want to go down losing tons of games, losing the majority of the games, is he? So I think he's got a big ask whether he wants to take that massive risk and have all that money coming in so we've got it to spend, or is he going to be looking at trying to, even beat that Derby score to make sure we get past the points that we need to try and build a bit of momentum to keep the fans on side, because I can't see us going down this way we keep losing. I can't see the fans not eventually asking questions about what Edwards can bring to getting us back up. And like you say, he's not to blame at the moment because I don't think any manager would save us. coming into that squad because they're just not good enough. But I think January is just so important for what next season's going to be like.
Yeah, I agree. I think between the two of us, we've found the perfect answer. I think you have to get that blonde. I think you have to get that blend of Premier League experienced captains, older heads. We fell in love with players before of Ryan Bennett and Craig Dawson. I think you have to find that blend. And I think there's been examples where me including myself, have turned my nose up at players like Aaron Creswell before because I don't think he's good enough for the squad. That's something that we need. We need a bit of emotional maturity within the squad of your captains and your leading materials, and I think we need that blend of players who will be grateful for the opportunity. Ironically, we've got one in our squad in Rodrigo Gomez, who is so grateful for the opportunity, and you can see it because every time he laces in boots and gets on that pitch, he puts everything. He will run himself into the ground for this club, and that's what we love about Rodrigo. And I think that's the blend. That's the blend for me. I think we'll go on to one very final negative before we go on to a very quick move on to our match preview. Was the might be a negative. Some people might find it as a positive. I joined in. I'm not afraid to say it. I did join in. I think hindsight's a beautiful thing. Maybe I shouldn't have reacted to some of the substitutes that Rob Edwards made on Monday night for Stan Larson, Jean Arias, and Keanu, Totti it was. All three players went off to jeers. All three of them went off to jeers from the crowd, and I was involved in it. I think I was that fed up by this point. I was involved, and like I say, hindsight's a beautiful thing. I probably wouldn't have done it, especially to someone like Stan Larson, who I think I was just that fed up with the way that he's not really committed in games this season. Apart from the Villa game, he's not really showed that passion and that hunger to try and win every single ball. And I think it got to a lot of fans this weekend. What did you make of the situation?
Look, I worked with a Man United fan, and he was like, "You was right, mate. You are really bad. Good players just don't look like them fit or the one." And I was like, "Mate, this is what I was saying to you before the game." If I look at the Larson one, I felt a bit awkward with the last one. I totally get it because he looks lazy and not with it on the pitch. He has moments where he looks like he's care, and he'll throw the ball in someone's face, or you will get into them, and then there'll be moments where he just looks like he's 38 and he's got one more season in him, and I'm just like, I don't get what he's trying to do and or he was trying to be. But like you say, the fans are pissed off. The fans don't want to keep hearing and trying our best. We're training hard every day. Something ain't right because you're just not working hard enough on the pitch. So the last one, I do get why fans are doing it. The Jan Arias one, I definitely joined in with that one because he just does not look like he wants anything to do with playing for Wolves. He don't look confident on the ball. He looks like he never wants the ball. When he has it, he don't look like he wants to fight to keep it. I feel like I work harder than him walking from the train station to the ground. I just don't think he wants it, and I think he'll be gone in January straight away. The Totti one, it's just, I was too concerned that Totti went over to Hoover and gave him the armband. Because surely as captain, you know who the vice captain is. What? Hoover was like, what's he doing? Like, that's your captain. That just shows you the lack of knowledge or the lack of, I don't know, is it concentration? He has.
Competence.
It's kind of human, and you give him the armband to Hoover, and he's like, what do I do with this? That was a strange one because then Hugo Bueno looked like he was playing inside. I gave up at this one, but was he playing inside centre half alongside Wolf? That was.
No, he was shot to a 4 at the back, and he caught
I was
on
just
the left.
so fucking angry. I was just, honestly. But yeah, like I say, Jan Arias, I think he deserves it because I don't think he's pulled up enough trees to say what he's actually done for the club. So yeah, he definitely deserved it. The other two, I get why fans did it, to be honest.
Yeah. It's not something I think I want to partake in every week.
Just say one thing to you, Dan? What do you reckon? I read something today about protesting with the Brentford one, like different rumours. I'm not saying I agree with these, I'm just saying what I read. I saw that there was on about getting there before the club coaches arrive. I saw that there was one saying about taking tennis balls and whistles into the stadium. I don't know.
I think the best way to negotiate any type of protest for the minute is for anyone to go to the old gold pack and go to their social medias. I think they obviously have ties with the club. They let into the Diogo Jota tribute. They obviously have, quite close communication. And I think the best way to go at the owners isn't by riling them up to some degree. I think it's about making sure that your voice is heard 100%. But if they were to put a statement out to say that, because I don't think you could get tennis balls in the stadium, if I'm being honest. You could probably get whistles in.
I don't think I just think them two could be at the moment a waste of time. I don't think that would make a blind bit of difference.
I think I see a scope for something of that caliber of delaying a game, or, we mentioned when that's getting the game stopped, something financially hurts Fosun because they get fined. I get that wholeheartedly. But I think it's a bit too early in the protest stage to be able to be considering something like that just yet. I think you have to have this first step. You either see a reaction from the owners or you see nothing from the owners.
Yeah.
And then you increase the level. Because you can't go from one stage too far up, because that will only anger them. And then instead of trying to get the thing that we actually want, which is open dialogue and communication with the board, you just anger them to be everything that you don't want them to be, which is what they already are. Silent. They don't want to have anything to do with the club. They don't want to progress. And then you say, well, the good times as well that we had with the board. And I'm not backing them at all, because they've been absolutely diabolical the last few years. But you have to do stuff in stages within life, and I think you can't jump too far from that.
Do you know what? I just thought, like, when I read about, I think Rob Edwards was saying, like, the players feel it as well. Regardless if they're on 50 grand a week, like, I'd be walking off that pitch and someone would have to carry me. I wouldn't be laughing and joking with Cunha after we've just lost 4-1. I think there's a time and place for that, not in front of all the cameras. But with him saying about the players, how they feel, and, they feel it too, I wonder what they'd actually do, if we turned up to Brentford and we turned up and the South Bank was in full voice, half hour before the game, as they're warming up, just singing more songs and getting that atmosphere like the game had kicked off. Would that make a difference? And I don't know if it would. But imagine, what do you think of that one?
Not going to happen. It's not going to happen. We've got no songs for the players that are here. The players aren't going to react to songs from singing about Steve Bull and Billy Wright and Ruben Neves, Raul Jimenez. They were the good old days. And at the moment, there's a song for Andre, there's a song for João Gomez, there's a song for Strand Larsen. Totti Gomez would not get his name sang around Molineux at the minute. Yeah. Let's be perfectly honest.
Do you think it could make a difference if we just turned up and sang war songs? Could that give the fans that bit of confidence against Brentford? Think actually they're going to be right there with us today?
No. We've been there. I started that Forest game.
Yeah, I know. I was just trying to ask your opinion and see if there was a different option to just protesting, but.
I would love that to be the option. There is nothing more than going to the game, standing next to you, standing next to Aaron, Craig, Nick, and all of us just bouncing in the backboard, singing songs. It's the best feeling in the world, going to the football and enjoying that experience with your mates. Unfortunately, we're at the other end of it now, where we're not in that position to be able to do that, and people don't even want to turn up to the games anymore. So, very quick joint Arsenal team selection, I think, Liam. I think we'll go through as what we can, and I'll flash it up on screen. In goal, Sam Johnston, agreed. Right back, I don't want to see either of the two that he's played.
I think Hoover didn't have a diabolical game against Man United. That the effort was there. I think he was poor, like you said. I don't know if I'd choose between them. Hoover at least did put a decent ball into the box, where Chachua, I don't think he knows what to even do when the ball's at his feet at the moment. Doherty there if it was there, but I don't think he's got it in him. I don't think he's mentioned before about not playing at right wing back, so I think it's gonna have to be Hoover. Would you look at it? We're playing. Could you play Hugo Breno that side and move him right back?
I've said it before that I wouldn't mind playing the inverted wing backs with a manager who likes to play them, but I think for the case of this going to be like a squad that we think Rob Edwards will probably pick, I'll tentatively agree with you and Keanu Hoover. I think my preference would be Matt Doherty, but I don't think Rob will play him. I don't think Matt Doherty wants to play there. 3 centre backs. I think Agbadou.
Even Cody, that was one you could tell.
I think Agbadou was the only one who could come out of credit with the Man United game. He's had a not too horrendous past couple of games, so I'll stick him in there. We'll go Mosquera on the right, Agbadou in the middle, Santi on the left. Wing back.
I think Wolf stays, though, but
yeah.
But is Hugo Breno a little bit more defensively sound? If he's going to have Madueke or Saka cutting in, probably going to be Saka, isn't it? I don't know what I'd fancy against Saka cutting in on that left because he's just such a danger, isn't he?
Yeah. I think I'm going to go with Mola Wolf. He got the assist. I think if he's got the assist, he might give him another go. Here's where I think me and you might change it up a little bit. I think he's going to go so defensive. I think he's going to go 5-3-2. I think he's going to go Andre, Gomez, and Krejci as your midfielders. We've got no Bellegarde, we've got no Molineux. He'll bring on Feo Lopez later in the game if he can. And I think for me, Krejci's if he's fit enough, I think he's the other midfielder that he plays. I think he plays those threes really deep sitting midfield. I think we create absolutely nothing against Arsenal. I wouldn't expect us to create nothing against Arsenal if we put the whole 11 up top and had no one in goal. I think we'd still struggle. So I think he's going to go 5-3-2. Do you agree with that?
Yeah, if I'm doing that, I'd probably put Tuchel at right back just because against Chelsea, his pace was a little bit, it did catch him out at times. Maybe, I know it's only that game, but I think if you're putting the emphasis on the attack, I know you've made a good little ball in, but I think Tuchel might, if he's running in behind, I'd probably play Tuchel. If he's running away and he's just hugging the touchline because he don't want the ball, then I'd put Hoover in. But if he's brave enough and Edwards is telling him to get in behind, I'd probably put Tuchel right back if you go in 3 centimetres.
We'll swap it up then. We'll go with Tuchel at right back and Krejci, Andre and Gomez in the middle.
I wouldn't disagree with that. Arsenal's so good. Zubimendi just hits that ball around 1-2 touch, and I know Declan Rice had an illness in the week, so he might miss the game, but he just breaks into the box and makes it an issue, doesn't he? And you got Marino and Odegaard in there. We give so many chances away edge of the box, and Arsenal's so good. They've got Saka, Rice, Madueke, all Odegaard that love getting chances around the edge of the box. You've got to try and stop that if you want to stay in the game. Stay in the game as long as possible. That's all you can do against Arsenal, isn't it?
Strangle the game. 0-0 until the 90th minute and then strangle. 2 strikers, Strand Larson, and I think he'll probably go with Tolu. I don't think he goes with Hwang. I think Arias quite clearly needs to be dropped again.
I don't want to get the team.
That'll be our team lineup. Liam, very quickly, score prediction for the game. What cricket score are you going with?
I said 4-0 Man United, didn't I? So I was shocked that we scored. I think it could be 5. I think it's 5-0. In my head, if we can stay in the game, Arsenal are going to be under pressure. I think they've played. I know the back four is a bit mixed shaped tonight, but I think that Odegaard and Gyökeres have started today alongside Zubimendi. I think when I had a quick look, maybe we'll catch them off the pace. If Declan Rice has got an illness, maybe that could be in the camp. I'm just trying to clutch onto straws here. We could stay in the game. If we just went 1-0 up, just imagine the panic in Arsenal after losing to Villa in the league in the week. That's I'd ask, but I think it's 5-0 Arsenal.
I'm glad you mentioned Villa, Mike, because I'm going 6-0 Arsenal. Everything positive, 6-0 Arsenal. Do you know what? Even when we're good, we got battered by Arsenal. Yeah. So, thank you very much for listening. Thank you very much for joining me, Liam. I do appreciate your time.
Enjoyed it again. Give my opinion, man. It's such an hard, frustrating time at the moment. You just want to love the club, isn't it? So, yeah, hopefully, I know many people might not agree, but football's about opinions.
Yeah. Again, get your comments in the and your feedback in the comment section down below. Let us know whether you disagree with us about the protests, team lineups. If you think we're way off the ball with anything that we've mentioned in this podcast, like Liam's just said, football is a game of opinions, and we really want to hear feedback on everything, Wolves, really, and especially about the protests and what you think is the right move. I've enjoyed that, Liam. Therapy session is done for another week, it feels like, because it's the only way to get over not feeling hungover from another game of football for another week. We'll be back again next week. I will try and get another match preview out with an Arsenal fan, if I can find one. If not, this will be covering as the whole match preview, and we'll be back next week with another podcast. Potentially out with a transfer episode next week, depending on timing and whether we can get everyone together. Thank you again all for listening. A big thank you as well for helping us reach our milestone, which was 100 subscribers before Christmas. Fantastic support. Can't thank anybody enough. I suppose there's only one thing to do, and that's ask for more, isn't it, really? Let's try and see if we can reach 125 subscribers by Christmas. If we can, that would be fantastic. Make sure you stay tuned to all the social media pages with the old golden chat everywhere. Thank you very much. I hope you enjoy the rest of your week, and let's see if we can get anything out of the Arsenal game.